Welcome everybody to another amazing episode of the Mario Kart Track Tryout! Today we are going to look at some promising tracks that might come to the world of Mario Kart Wacky Races in the next DLC season, known as the Booster Course Pass. These new tracks will really test our racers in every way possible, and some of them might not even reach the finish line. So, without further ado, let's jump into our first track. Here we are, our first candidate, the Luigis Mansion track. A spooky place that challenges the drivers in multiple ways. It was seen in the Mario Kart DS race season, and it's set just outside the mansion in the Boo Woods, which has a graveyard surrounding the mansion, and beyond it, a swamp of mud with moving haunted trees. And you should never, ever get near those, because when you run into one of those trees, you won't spin out or roll over. Instead, you will get stuck on the tree as if it were a wall. Now in the end, this track takes you for a haunted ride through the mansion, past the spooky graveyard, and into the horrifying swamp. It certainly is a thrilling track. Now, as the host of Mario Kart Wacky Races, I've seen some crazy things and also wacky tracks. However, this beats it all. This place has quite a unique theme that is unlike any other seen in the Mario Kart series. It really is quite special. In my opinion, the section in the swamp is the most exciting because it can be tricky to navigate effectively, and the trees can really be a pain to deal with, as we can see right here. Ooh, that doesn't look good, and believe me, this can cost you the race. However, that's not all. You can also mess up big time when trying to make your way through all the mud found in the swamp like this guy. Aye, that must hurt. Something like this will really cost you a lot of time. Clearly, this track would be an exciting addition. Now let's hope we actually get it. Now, let's move on to our next candidate. Now, the next track we will talk about is less spooky than the previous one, but certainly a lot more action-packed. And it's filled with traps. Racers will really have to focus on what is ahead of them, instead of just the racers behind them who try to take them out using all kinds of tricks and gadgets. The next race that could potentially be added is the Airship Fortress. A fortified position that is the perfect setting for an insane race. Now, this track takes place both on a floating fortress in disrepair and on an airship. In general, this course was inspired by the adventures of the famous racer and hero Mario during his conquest against Bowser in the Mushroom Kingdom and Dinosaur Land. Now, the thing that makes this track such a good fit for our show is all the traps and hazards that are found here. This place is quite hectic because it is a functioning fortress that racers must navigate, while the defense mechanisms of this place try to take them out. All of this makes it an incredibly interesting and exciting place for a race. You need to avoid obstacles such as bullet bills, rocky wrenches, and more. Some even say that these bullet bills can be controlled by other racers to get rid of other opponents. But that would be cheating, of course, and we don't allow that. So this would certainly spice up any wacky Mario Kart race. However, let's move on to our next candidate. Now, one thing this show really needs is a new track that really challenges racers in a new way. And so, an illegal street race is just perfect. And Moonview Highway is a great fit. This race takes place in a city at night, which adds some extra difficulty and also a beautiful setting. But there is even more. The highway first runs through a forested area with several cliffs that you can drive on and go on top of. And after that, you encounter a bridge and then a road that leads into a city. And at that point, it will loop back to the finish. Now, that doesn't sound too hard, right? Well, you're wrong! Because this place is a death trap just like every other city. There are cars, trucks, and even bomb cars roaming around the place, driving all over. And if anyone happens to get in the way, they will get squished and will lose any items they had. So, while this might seem like an easy race at first, this might be the most bonkers course we have ever seen. There aren't just other racers that can bump into each other, they are surrounded by tons of other cars and even bombs on wheels. Actually, I have no idea who placed those there, but it certainly makes the race a whole lot more crazy! And all of this makes Moonview Highway a very interesting place to hold a race, because no one really knows what they're getting into with all the random traffic and even bomb cars. So this will certainly surprise any racer who dares to take on this track. But now, let's move on to our next potential location. Now, so far we've looked at a lot of great places to hold a race. However, our next one beats them all, because it takes place inside of an actual pinball machine. Using some magical engineering, we can shrink down all the racers and put them inside of a Waluigi pinball machine for an interesting new challenge. Yeah, I mean, sorry, after doing so many of these wacky races, we had to come up with more interesting settings, alright? Anyway, during this race, they are launched into the pinball machine, and after that, the racers start a descent down the machine, encountering numerous pinballs on the way that they don't want to collide with. And then, they enter the pinball table, which is filled with flippers that give them speed, and bumpers that can shock them. Clearly, this is one of the weirdest tracks we have talked about so far. It is completely ridiculous, but that is what makes it great. It's both visually impressive as well as truly challenging, which would certainly make a race more interesting in multiple ways. So I would love to see this. Although we would have to set up a contract for the racers, because who knows what that shrink ray will do to their bodies in the long run and everything. But regardless of that, let's move on to the last track. This is Warios Colosseum, and it is one of the longest courses in history. It is quite amazing to say the least, lovely viewers. The course is filled with sharp turns, a corkscrew, ramps, dash panels, a dome-shaped area, and so much more. So clearly any racer faces a challenge when taking on this track. However, that's not because of all these weird twists and turns. It is actually a huge challenge because there are barely any railings. So if they happen to take a turn too wide, they will certainly fall off. So I bet most contestants will be focused on driving and the track instead of using tricks to take each other out. So this would certainly be an exciting track. And who knows what we will see in the next DLC season, known as the Booster Course Pass. Thank you all for watching another special episode of the Mario Kart Wacky Races Track Tryouts, and be sure to let us know through the comment section down below what you would like to see. Good night, everybody!